Hello everyone, welcome to the InfoVest Podcast. My name is Daniel. Today is December 18th, 2020, and we are going to quickly just look over the markets. Just to recap, today is, as mentioned before in the previous podcast, today is Quad Witching Day, which means that you'll have every third Friday of the month, you'll have kind of a lot of this expiry of options that are being expired. And you'll have a lot of volatility and choppiness in the markets today as traders and investors are moving in and out of positions and are closing especially their option positions, as today is the expiry date for many of them. As we look into the equity markets, in the overnight session, the Asian session, we had kind of a little bit of a dip towards the somewhat of a resistance, not a resistance, but a support level in the S&P around the 3,700. That's psychological level, and we bounced quite rapidly from there. And then we moved up into the European session, where we had kind of a rally from around 1 a.m. up into the European Open around 3 a.m., 4 a.m. and so on. We had kind of a spike up in the S&P to around 3723, and now we've come off from that high, from the session high, and we're kind of just consolidating and trading sideways here. The same goes for the Russell, the NASDAQ, and the Dow, with Russell still holding up quite higher. And we have also Canadian dollar lower today, the euro kind of trading sideways, the pound coming off due to Brexit talks and a little bit of negative talks coming in from the press and from these officials. And we've seen on the bond front yields higher and more of the longer end prices pushing down lower, especially yesterday, especially on the very weak jobs data. Sorry, not the jobs data, but the jobless claims number and the initial jobless claims number that came out 8:30 a.m. yesterday. So those numbers were horrendous, and we did see kind of bonds react to that. So other than that, we are now seeing bonds kind of slowing down and kind of again trading sideways. We do see gold kind of it had a big bid yesterday, but we see it coming off from yesterday's highs right now. And as for oil, we are also seeing just consolidating, so not much movement right now. And again, it is Friday. We are a week away from Christmas. Next week you'll get a lot of people taking time off, especially now that we're closer to the end of the month in December and we're approaching January. There will be less of kind of volatility. It'll be a little bit more quieter. That's the expectation. And probably more choppiness, probably more balanced trading, more kind of trading more on the sideways action, as many people are on holidays, especially starting next week. Other than that, we do have kind of Moderna news coming out about Moderna, and we do see Moderna stock price kind of picking up a bid as the FDA advisory panel recommended Thursday that Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine to be cleared for broad use, setting kind of the stage for the FDA to grant the expected emergency use by late Friday, which is today. So we could get some news from the FDA kind of pushing out a green light for Moderna coming out and pushing their vaccine for the public use in the U.S. So that's kind of keeping a bit in Moderna and adding more fuel into equities, but this is as expected. I mean, any of this news about the vaccine could see a pop, but it would be short-lived. So that's something to kind of just monitor. Another key thing to monitor today is the spending bill, the spending talks. So hopefully, McConnell and Nancy Pelosi will come to an agreement. They are expected to include more than $300 billion to help small businesses, vaccine distribution funds, and $600 billion in direct payments to individuals. $600 in direct payments to individuals. So they're expected to have this kind of $900 billion package by Friday. So we'll have to kind of see if that comes out. If we do get that package, we do get that $900 billion, then great. We could see a rally in equities, and we can see especially the Russell spike up on that news. We are seeing Russell reaching very, very close to that $2,000 mark. We are seeing equities this whole week kind of maintain a bid. Maintain that bid as the expectation that the stimulus bill and the stimulus talks will get approved sooner than later. Eventually it should come. Hopefully today, or it could be pushed out to the weekend, as McConnell did mention that they were kind of like more optimistic, where they were saying they're ready to work even over the weekend, and they're expected that this could be pushed into the weekend, and they're not going to leave the office, and they're going to work very hard to just really get this bill out. So, being kind of Friday and being December 18, being that, we're not far away from December 31st, and we're not far away from January 1st. We're just about 2 weeks. And we do have Christmas, a holiday season coming up. Hopefully before people start taking vacation and so on, especially in Congress, hopefully they can get something done today or this weekend. If not, maybe it could be pushed for another week or two. Hopefully not into January, but anything's possible. Right now it's all politics. So we'll have to sit and wait. Right now the Russell, like I was mentioning and was about to mention before, is at 1983 and very close to that 2000 mark. It's inching there. The only thing that needs the Russell to propel to that $2,000 mark, that 2,000 psychological level, is this stimulus bill. Once you get it, you can get that push up higher in Russell, and also the other equities as well. Not forget about the S&P, Nasdaq, and Dow, but the ones to really prosper is especially the Russell and the Dow, but especially the Russell. So we're very, very close to that. Very close to that. Anything about this bill not going through could push equities way lower. It could cause kind of a knee-jerk lower. But I would say be careful, because that move could be short-lived, as they could come out again saying that any negative news would be temporary, and they're coming back to back together and pushing out this stimulus bill. So watch out for that. That's kind of on the minds for going in for today's trading day. This is the big news that you have to keep in mind, the big macro news going into today and into also the weekend, and possibly could be extended to next week or two. So we'll have to keep monitoring that. Other than that, we have also Brexit to look at, especially for this weekend. Doubt anything will come out today for Brexit. They do have until December 31st to come up with some sort of deal. We do have the pound kind of coming off from the 136 level. And it's now sitting around the 135 handle. And we do have kind of a Wall Street Journal reporter, Norman, tweeting about the EU Commission comments on Brexit. So he said something like, despite Michael Barnier talking about final hours of Brexit talks, Mamar Eric makes it clear there is no official deadline for fishing. So, again, all this news coming out that there's no deadline, there's a deadline, talks are going sour, talks are going good, we're going to come up with a deal this weekend, or we're going to extend it. It's just back and forth choppiness and politics and here and there. Now, could you have the hypothetical scenario where they don't have anything concrete or done just yet, where maybe they have a deal but they're still unsettled on things on fishing? Could the agreement about fishing be extended into January? It could be. They could come out and say, hey, we have a deal, we'll include this in the deal. However, we will go forward with this deal, but however, we will exclude the fishing stuff, and that is to be talked about and determined in the next year. They could come out like that, and if that were the case, I think you could still see a relief rally in the pound, as it still shows optimism that, okay, you know what, they did come up with the deal. It's just fishing that they're talking about, coming up with some sort of consensus. We will continue with everything else, and we are still moving in track and progressing to a good Brexit deal. So I still can expect that some sort of relief rally could come in. Now, if it completely twists and it's completely opposite, where you do get kind of negative news and say that there's no deal and nothing's coming out and we won't have anything by December 31st, then for sure you could see a big knee-jerk down lower, followed by, I think, later on we'll see that knee-jerk being recovered as more positive talks could come in the next year. So I'm just speculating here. I'm just giving kind of two scenarios of how things could work out. Or you just simply get the full deal itself by this weekend. We'll have to watch again news over the weekend, especially on Sunday and Monday. And they do come up with the Brexit deal and things do turn out good. And then you'll get a very big, huge relief rally in the pound. So again, everything is speculation. Anything can happen. We'll just have to continue to monitor the progress in the news over the weekend. In interesting news, we had also news about Coinbase. Coinbase filing with regulators to go public. So that will be pretty interesting, especially with Bitcoin hitting to the $23,000 mark. And we see that Coinbase announcement comes out as Bitcoin hits the record high. So we could see an IPO from Coinbase. And for those who don't know, Coinbase is the website where you can buy and sell cryptocurrencies. they've got Bitcoin and Ethereum and a couple of other cryptos over there. So that's something to expect. And so I came across this news. This was something that came out yesterday. Quite important for those electric vehicle stock buyers or those clean energy investors. This is quite important news. So Biden expected Energy Department's pick, which is Granholm, the Jennifer Granholm. I think I'm saying her last name right, but that's Biden's expected energy pick, and she's very, very important because she could lead the charge on electric cars. So you have to be very, very tentative of the news about Jennifer Granholm. And I'll tell you why this is important. Because Jennifer Granholm was governor of auto manufacturing in Michigan. And she was the one who led a charge that secured a whopping $1.35 billion in federal funding for companies to make electric cars and batteries in her state. So as President Joe Biden continues with electing certain officials and is expected to elect Energy Secretary, Jennifer Granholm is top of the list right now. And she's expected to be taking this role. And if she comes in role, we can expect that she will be pro-electric cars, which will be good for, all the electric vehicle stocks like Tesla, Nikola, and so on. She will face kind of a bigger task, so it won't be just Michigan that she will be focused on anymore. It'll be all of the United States complete, and she will have to figure out how to compete with China on electric vehicles and kind of help with this $2 trillion plan to fight climate change and kind of push out a lot of money into clean energy, and especially into more electric cars, making kind of the scene for Americans to go more into electric vehicles. So this will be huge if this comes out, and we could see kind of this rally, and we're seeing this bid in Tesla still being sustained, and we can see this bid in electric vehicles continuing its momentum. But here's the catch, all right? It's great that he's electing all of these people, but it'll come down again and again, like I mentioned before, January 7th, 2021, where you have the Georgia Senate runoff. Sorry, I think I just want to correct myself. It's not January 7th, it's January 5th. So I'll say that again. You want to focus on January 5th, 2021, the Georgia Senate runoff. So we'll have to see if the Senate majority is in the hands of Republicans or Democrats. If it's Republicans, then it's all steam ahead for electric car vehicles, for clean energy stocks. You'll see a big rally in those stocks. You'll see a big rally in all equities, S&P to 4,000, NASDAQ to 13,000, Dow to 31,000, Russell blasting through 2,000 mark. It's all steam ahead. Now, if you have Republicans, you can expect kind of a knee-jerk down. You can expect kind of these electric car vehicles, especially Tesla, especially how overextended it is, seeing kind of a dip and kind of seeing this sell-off. So that's to be expected if the Republicans come into power and majority in the Senate. And the reason is they will be in control when it comes to passing this bill. Now, okay, you could have a knee-jerk down, and it will, my opinion on it, it could be short-lived, because if, let's say, the Republicans do take over Senate, the margin of the divide is not so big. It's still pretty narrow, still pretty slim. So you still could get a chance of, let's say if you get this kind of knee-jerk down, you still can get a chance that in Congress, when a bill is being passed and more money is being put into electric vehicles or clean energy, you still could have those kind of independent seats kind of joining sides on Democrats, and you still could have, maybe one or two Republicans agreeing with pushing out this energy bill, which could add in kind of a pass for this funding and this money into energy stocks. The only downfall of that is if, it comes down to, again, politics, which, again, is not, it's nothing new. You have Congress, and you could have very strong supporters of Republicans, like we're seeing today with the spending bill between Pelosi and McConnell. Two heads butting each other. It could be the same thing when it comes to clean energy and electric cars. Two heads just butting together and just, wasting time and kind of not coming up with anything, new or productive or great. And maybe they do come up with an energy bill, and it may not be as big. It could be small. Same thing, with other plans that Biden has with the tax, the tax increase on the rich. It will be hammered down by Republicans. They will not like it, and if they own the majority, and that's one thing that could come good out of this, is that if there's a slight advantage of Republicans, they can help kind of push what's needed and kind of stop, let's say, the tax increase. So the markets may like that. And so if we do get a knee-jerk down, I think it'll be short-lived, and we could see markets coming back up. But I think there could be a lot of choppiness to come, especially if there are a lot of heads butting against each other and nothing's really getting done, and it's taking time and all that. So something to monitor, something to keep an eye on is Jennifer Granholm could be expected to be the Energy Secretary of United States. And in the past, like I mentioned, she was the governor of auto manufacturing in Michigan. She led the charge that secured $1.35 billion in federal funding for companies to make electric cars. And if she is the one to be this person to be the energy secretary, then she could be leading this pact on pushing U.S. to more clean energy, to fight climate change, and to push electric vehicles. So something to watch out is, one is that, and second is the Georgia Senate runoff in January 5th, 2021. So keep that in mind for any of those clean energy stock buyers, any of those electric vehicle stock buyers. This is quite important, and we'll have to see how things progress on that end. Other than that, from the front of, let's see, we have kind of data, economic data that's coming out today. Quiet day, just 8:30 a.m. core retail sales expected at 0.2%. Let's see how, and this is for Canadian numbers. core retail sales at 0.2%, and the headline retail sales at 0.2%. So this is something to watch out for, the Canadian dollar. Other than that, quiet day on economic data. Just remember it's quad witching, so you could get volatility. You could get a lot of this choppiness. So hope you'll join us on the next podcast. Hope you have a great weekend and stay tuned. Thanks. Bye.